Welcome everybody to a very, very special live stream, Owning the Trolls. With me is one of my very favorite people in the world. You know her from everywhere on YouTube and always by my side of the matriarchy, whether it's on my show or hers. Anna, that Star Wars girl.
Hello. I have noodles in my mouth. I'm sorry.
Why should you be sorry? It's the most on-brand thing you could have possibly done. And down below us, a face you guys probably don't recognize. Well, some of you I'm sure do, because you already know this man. The rest of you, it's this wonderful, wonderful surprise. AK Rex down below is joining us from a very different but very related corner of YouTube. So, AK, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about what your niche is and how you got into YouTube.
Thanks for having me, Jess. That was a very nice introduction. I believe this is the first one I ever got so far.
Wow.
And the first time I'm doing this, so I'm a total noob. So if I come off a little bit clumsy, I'm sure the chat is going to forgive. And
mindless mob is kind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we know what we're talking about here. But I am basically from the paleontology community. Oh, okay. Thank you. I see somebody's already, putting up this is good. The chat is going to be hard to keep up with, I'm sure.
So, pro tip: don't worry about the chat. We'll worry about the chat because
I got it.
That's the hardest part in the beginning.
So yeah, I'm from the paleontology, like artwork sort of thing. I like dinosaurs ever since I was like a kid. One of those things. It's been, my hobby my whole life, and about as old as I could count probably. And yeah, I am pretty much facing the same problems along with my fellow friends who just came here. There are many of them in the chat. I can see my veteran, warriors. Also slaying SGWs left and right. And yeah, we have been dealing with the exact same problem as you guys here in the Fandom Menace. So we kind of have our own Fandom Menace corner there. It's a different front line, but it's all the same exact nonsense. And we will find out in a moment whenever we get to it, just how similar and how many common denominators there are. It's incredible. And it makes a wonderful case study. I think we're going to have a blast. I got my gin tonic here ready. Jess, you got your beer, I believe.
It's actually a Greyhound. It's one of these cans of like mixed drinks. It's a Greyhound. So I got my grapefruit lime and
I haven't tried that before.
It's a good drink.
So yeah, I'm also a sculptor. I'm a professional sculptor and an artist. I just do this kind of stuff for a living and for fun, and going full on independent, because independent is the best way to go.
Absolutely.
I have a campaign on Indiegogo as well, which I have already successfully managed to raise the money for, more than I needed. And T-Rex is my favorite dinosaur. And yeah, so that's pretty much the short sort of summary of this story. And the hashtag bold man bad.
Can you do me a favor and grab one of your models real quick, just so the chat has a real sense of what you actually did?
I don't have any of my, my own pieces that are painted, because all of the stuff that I have, they've already been sent out to customers.
Yeah.
This is the one that I've recently completed on my Indiegogo. So let me just find there's the camera angle, Allosaurus model here.
Yeah.
So sculpted by yours truly, built and painted and casted and molded as well, with a little bit screw on here as well. So let's see if I can bring it up a little bit closer. I don't know if it focuses, but my camera is very basic, and in terms of YouTube game, I'm just generally, very basic, So I don't really have a whole lot going on yet for the studio, and there's stuff in the background there as well that you can see probably very, very vaguely.
We're making some fun connections here already, though, because we've got Dr. Coffin Nails, who's been a Fandom Menace staple since forever. He's a huge listener of Jeff's on World Class Bullshitters, is saying Triceratops is my favorite. And we've got one of yours, Three Horn Gaming, says another Triceratops lover. So we're making friends in the mindless mob already.
Jeffrey, my Jeffrey, basically, go on and say yours one, because you said you are a Triceratops lover as well. There should be at least 3 or 5 of you there, I'm sure.
All right, we got a Triceratops corner in here. I love this stuff because, like you said, there's so much crossover, and that's what I go back to. I was talking about this on one of my many shows. I've been on so many shows this week about all snowflakes fall and all snowflakes melt. We're all unique. We're all different. Blah blah blah. But we all have certain commonalities and certain similarities, and so this is exactly that. Like, just because our shit might be Star Wars and yours might be dinosaurs, the passion is the same. The desire to learn about it is the same. The drive for knowledge is the same. And I was just one thing that struck me so much when we were talking yesterday is how you talked about the intersection of science and the creativity in your community. And I think that's so cool. And you made some great points too about that, exactly that. Like, I loved hearing about, your community's rejection of SJWs and identity politics and all that crap along the same lines and for very similar reasons, which is, things like you were saying, like science isn't political. Science isn't.
It's not at all. There's absolutely no excuse to bring irrelevant things. It's just like, this is one of those things that I think many people in the chat will understand. When you were little kids, one of the first things you guys were taught probably as kids is what is appropriate and what's not appropriate.
Yep.
And politics and your dating preferences, specifically your sex life and your religion and other things that are your financial sort of status, on a private kind of deep kind of private level, not overall, if you're doing okay or not, but everybody has problems and good things, but I mean very, very detailed information. Those things are not very polite things to talk about when you're just getting out without the expectation of engaging in these particular discussions. That's just plain rude. It's like, imagine if I'm just gonna go to Anna and be like, hey, Anna, what did you have, for breakfast? She says some kind of sandwich, and I'll be like, okay, cool. Do you like the cowgirl or the doggy style? Go on, quick, spit it out. Like that's basically
the answer wrong. You're
can
the
you
devil.
Can you see how awkward it's gonna be if I were serious about this?
Exactly. No, it's a great point. It's the same. It's a great analogy. The same taboo nature of those things for exactly that reason. You wouldn't, in a previous year, you would never go, oh yeah, how was your day? Did you have a good breakfast? Also, who'd you vote for? Like,
like why?
in a normal life, in a normal world. And so it's just one of the many very clear markers how far beyond normal we've gotten. And another one for me is the politicization of science and things that should be really facts and really not have an agenda. And this obsessive need for everyone to be us versus them is like, oh, well, if you guys talked about this scientific fact first, we have to reject your scientific fact. Like, that's not how science works, guys.
Not at all. And it's a very tricky subject generally. And one of the things that I have brought up yesterday, and this is one of the things that I talk to a lot to my friends as well, is that even if we are going to be very, hey, Josh, that's another JP like guy from LA. Yeah, he's like, he's like a JP like maniac. Basically, he knows like everything about JP.
I've been summoned, he says.
Yep, that's him. All right. So yeah, as I was saying, basically the whole idea with politics, even if you're very generous with the definition of what politics is, literally it means a process of crafting a policy. And but of course we cannot just apply that just to politics on a state level, because it means that okay, Starbucks has policies. Does that mean they're necessarily political? I have policies on my forum. You have policies. Does that mean we're political? No. So we have to be specific, and this is when we come to the point when we have to understand that nuance and specifics matter. Yes. And they matter a lot, no matter how much anybody likes to cry about it. Tears don't just wash that away. It's like, look, Ray Charles can see, and Stevie don't have to wonder, that you cannot just expect to drop a few fancy phrases and expect all problems be solved like that. It don't work like that. Mm-hmm. You have to be specific. You have to inform. You have to present your problem, and you have to then come up with solutions. And you take it through the process. It's a process. It's a long process, and it's not an easy process, but it can be fun as long as you're not being a bitch about it.
Absolutely. I feel like it's a great point for everything in life. There's a lot of things in life that can be long, can be tedious, can be complicated, but can be a lot of fun if you just don't be a bitch. End of story.
It's really easy, actually, not to be a little bitch, but apparently some people didn't get a memo. So.
Right. Oh, we got another super chat from the Council of Sean. Says the council has arrived. Cheers. Thank you for being here, my dude. I'm glad you're able to join us for a live stream. I know
I don't believe I've interacted before, but
he's been a regular patron of mine for a very, very long time. He has the distinct honor of being the Council of Sean. He will have his own Council of Sean shirt designed specially for him one of these days, very soon. Awesome guy, awesome listener. So cheers.
By
to
the
him.
way, quickly before I forget, I believe that I brought an appropriate T-shirt to the table, so I don't know if you can see it, but
Oh, cool. I like it.
it's basically Yoda wearing, and I'm not talking about Baby Yoda. This is the Master Yoda who's wearing the boxing gear.
Fucking ready to go.
Yep, exactly. I thought that was very appropriate.
Our good friend Bikini90, always with always in the chat, always a wonderful supporter with the $2 super chat saying hail. So cheers to you.
Hello there. General
driving at with we were teasing you before with like just how much overlap there is we had a very particular situation. For those of you who were with us in the Matriarchy on Wednesday, we had somebody who was stalking Anna. Let's say what it is. Someone was stalking. Someone was straight up actually stalking her, had been obsessively running his mouth online about her for 24 hours and then was trying to DM her, stalked her to the live stream on my channel to then harass her in the chat, even go so far as to super chat her to harass her. Now, after this 24-hour smear campaign, now all of a sudden he wants to be best friends. And
Jess, don't worry. He's probably bisexual because he's in love with me too.
This is the mind-blowing thing. This is the mind-blowing thing. So please, because it was explain to us what it was like from your side, jumping into this chat on Wednesday and seeing that particular user pop up.
Okay, this is gonna be hard for me to do, to keep a straight face on and not to trip over the words in the process, because this was so random and out of the blue. I did not, and I mean, like, I was betting Never Neverland that I was not going to end up here or end up talking to these ladies right here that same day when I was taking a shower that morning. I thought it was just going to be another day, all these things. And then my friend Mike, he sent me this link to your stream that you done, and it was already over, so I wasn't on the stream, because when you streamed, I was already asleep because of the time difference. And basically, I go on and I'm like, what's going on there? And then he's like, just watch it. It's hilarious. And then I see who popped up. And the reason why we're, of course, not bringing it up is because this is one of those things that because he's one of those SJW trolls, we completely decided to strip any element of personality from them. So if we are going to be bringing screenshots, their names are not going to be revealed and their avatars are hidden. They're basically just nothing at this point. So that's just so that the message is well received and, basically get the point. But yeah, I was just, wow, this guy found his way here. It's like, I was just like, wow, how come I wasn't there? Because if I was there, I would just be like, I was going to Anna yesterday. I messaged her on Instagram and say, like, this guy is like basically like an old enemy of mine. We've been going back at least 5 years, way before I think he ever interacted with you guys. And I was very like, wow, if only I was there to basically just metaphorically take his head off myself in front of all the people, just so that, he gets this WTF face when he sees me. But that didn't happen. But, well, never mind that. Now I'm here. And Anna replied quickly. And I was like, oh, like, excuse me? Like, that doesn't happen. That never happens, like, to me. And yeah, and then we just talked a little bit. We just chatted, and then just like, by the way, is it okay if me and Jess, just have a bit of a private chat about it to get a bit more context? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's have a chat. I'll explain what's going on and give you all the details and stuff. And basically, we talked, and I'm pretty sure you guys found out some very interesting nitty-gritty details about this individual's behavior. let's just say, I don't know, just by the way, how are we with the cursing on this stream? Is it like okay or no?
So YouTube defines swearing that would lower your monetization or jeopardize your monetization as happening hard swearing in the intro, which is the first 30 seconds. And the first 30 seconds of my video, this is according to YouTube, were just a countdown. So you can say fuckity fuck fuck, fuckity fuck fuck, fuck 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 fuck.
So if I refer to this guy as the beta twat one, that's okay.
That would be like for mindless entertainment, that would get you like a G rating. Like this language is approved for all audiences.
Yeah, okay, fine. Good to know. I just need to get my bearings straight. And yeah, I mean, yeah, that's basically, call him like, beta twat or twat waffle 1 code word. because there may be a couple.
I fucking love this because all of your fans clearly, so this is the hysterical part. For those who aren't quite getting this, the same guy who has been harassing AK for 5 years now, just this week decided to start harassing Anna as well. 5 fucking years this guy has been harassing him. That's insane. So obviously all of AK supporters know exactly who we're talking about. For those of you who weren't here on Wednesday are like, who the hell is this guy? I love Candid Sculpt's take, because just if you say his name 3 times, he will appear. So don't say his name.
Yep. You got it. That's my man.
So I'm going to read some super chats, and then we'll get really into more of the focus of
no worries.
Exactly we came here today. Hardcase History Corner, thanks. Great to see you as always. I love this because some of you amazing guys, you guys are like regular patrons. When I get to do daytime streams, especially like a Friday closer to the weekend, you guys actually get to chime in and see them. So I'm really thrilled. Always thrilled to see you in the chat. Hardcase History Corner says bulldozer parents are the cause of so many issues nowadays. Plus parents using school as daycare. I do think that's where a lot of these issues come from. Parents who either overmother their children, or overparent their children, or underparent their children. And so the kids just grow up without a normal center of morality, a moral compass of saying, okay, this
they
is
don't get challenged.
Exactly. They get coddled or they get abandoned before they've been given the proper tools. So they either, grow up fucked up because they don't know what regular love is, or they grow up weak and pathetic because they've been coddled their entire lives. Because they went to college, and when they couldn't figure out how to do laundry, they just texted mom. When they couldn't figure out how to do something, they just texted home. It's not like it used to be, where going to college was actually, or university was actually like a soft break from your family life, a training wheels introduction into the real world. Now it's just, it's not that at all. Now it's just a fucking extended vacation where mom, dad, and anyone you need is just as accessible as they were before. So you learn jack shit about being on your own. And the colleges too are the worst ones, because now they're these fucking SJW safe zones that all they want to do is coddle you and teach you that the world is evil and bad, and you need your safe space. You get to have a safe space where no one can say bad or wrong things to you ever. And then they grow into the world and assume they can just treat the world like their fucking safe space. And that was in college. I looked at these people and I said, God, you're in for a rude awakening if you think the world's going to cater to your needs like this. I was the one who was wrong. I was the one in for a rude awakening when I graduated and realized these fuckers are so stubborn and stupid that they went out into the world and demanded that the world give them the safe space, the little bubble that they wanted. I've been watching this shit happen since it started. And it's exactly that. People like this guy are products of that cultural shift that lets them know you're entitled. You're entitled to these things. So yes. What does he do? He goes to art school. He does well for himself. He goes and gets some jobs. But at the end of the day, he's still miserable. Why is he still miserable after all of this time, after all of these things? Because no one ever taught him that happiness comes from in here, not out there. So he's mad at the world now because the world, after all this, didn't give him the one thing he wanted, which was love and acceptance. So instead of figuring out how to be a less shitty human being and go get that love and acceptance in the world, he, like so many others like him, want to just be ugly and shit on everyone else and ruin everyone else's happiness because it's so much easier than actually going out and finding some for themselves. So very astute, Hartigas, and very much in line with exactly.
I got a question. I got a question for the chat. Has anybody started the countdown? How many times Jess does this with her hair before she goes the full-on rage meter mode?
Trunk 3PO yesterday when I was on his show, he put a hat on because he was like, "I'm becoming known for my hair flips now, and I don't think the chat can handle 2 of us." So I felt that to me, of all the things, for Drunk asking me to come on his show and do this interview and all that stuff, was very special. It was very honoring. He's a great, incredible guy who makes all his guests feel like $1 million. But the number one thing there that made me feel appreciated by Drunk was that he deferred to me on the hair. He put the hat on and let me take the hair. That's it.
I don't think I'm going to be the one challenging you on that front.
I have a feeling that's probably true. Raven the Blackbird says, I just wonder if it spoils, if I spoils the game of Baby Yoda's name, Grogu. Don't worry, Raven the Blackbird, you are not the first person running around in the chat trying to.
I haven't actually caught up with season 2 yet, but I've heard a few things, minor spoilers, but I'm going to catch up once the whole thing is all out and ready so I can just binge watch it.
Here's the thing. If knowing that Baby Yoda's name is Grogu ruins the series for you, there were some bigger issues with the series than just the name of the child. But Dead Heart says, I'm envious of your determination, Rex. Cheers
Don't
to that.
be envious. Just do what you gotta do, man. You know, just determination is not just something you just always have. You know, I think it's an acquired skill, and it just comes with a bit of practice and a little bit of, you know, healthy dose of stubbornness and dumbassery, and then you wise up, and then you just utilize what you learned. I don't know if I got it right, but something like that.
One of my things with the nature of envy that I realized always is that everyone feels it, and it can be a very, very ugly emotion. But I realized for me, if I feel envy and I don't do anything about it, or I let it fester or lean into it, it becomes very, very ugly. If I feel envy about something, I've learned that's a roadmap for me of like, oh, I'm envious of this person. What is it they have that I don't? Okay, well, how can I? Maybe there's something that I can't be, like an astronaut or an athlete, or, you know, an Olympian or something. Not that I necessarily want to be those things, but what can I take from them and bring into my own life that's reflective of the thing I'm envious about? I've learned that envy for me is a litmus test of the things I really want. If I feel that unrelenting pang of envy every time a certain thing comes up, well, that must be something I really, really want. So instead of sitting here and feeling envious and being, you know, and using it that, you know, exactly like you said to Dead Heart, I take those moments of like, oh, that's what I need to go after. That's what I need to chase. So I love that. And that's something like I've talked about with anger a lot too. Like people look at anger as like, this is a bad negative emotion that you shouldn't feel. Anger is the way I channel everything. So when I feel anger, that's my way of knowing, okay, I got to go let these things out so that doesn't fester. I got to go punch something really, really hard that's not going to break, and that's not going to break me, so that I can release this in a healthy way. Like that to me, emotions are such a great way of understanding yourself. Exactly. Dude, AK, if you ever come out here, I don't know if they have those there, but we ever meet up, we got to find a break room. Have you heard of these things?
Which one?
A break room?
Literally, oh yes, when you just literally trash everything. It's
literally so. Did you ever see Citizen Kane?
Yes, long time ago.
You know the scene, the one scene that stands out where he destroys that entire. He's a room that's got a lot of collectibles and breakables and glass things in it, and he just goes ham and destroys it all. It's a great
bring memories back. Yeah,
it's one of the few scenes in that movie because I'm not a huge Citizen Kane. It's one of the few scenes I'll always come back to. And ever since I saw that, I was like, I want to do that. And then I started hearing about these break rooms, and I was like, my dream, yep. It will be realized.
It's great fun. Excuse me, it's a good therapy as well, and you know, it's just really, it's a good target practice too.
Sure. Get that, work on that red. It's probably good for.
By the way, speaking of drunk 3PO, Jay, I did drop him like a quick tag message in that live stream, and if he shows up to do a duel with you, don't be too surprised in case he brings a big battle axe, because that was my advice for him. Because I know you do rapier or something like that, but I said just bring a battle axe, you know, just for the fuck of it.
Well, that's the beautiful thing, because I do saber, and saber, and modern saber is about speed. So bring your battle axe, because I will just cut you up from a safe distance while you're trying to swing at me.
It will be too late when he realized that was a very nasty setup I did there, which I, you know, just
right. It's like, oh yeah,
why not?
You'll totally win. Ah, whoops. Dakari Garmin, thank you for the super chat. It's always great to see you. It says, hail to the awesome AK Rex, the amiable Artista Anna, and the always gracious God Empress Jesse. Always treat others how you want to be treated, my friends. Cheers. Cheers to that. And there's a flip side to this. You know, there is a flip side.
Thank you for the awesome.
There is a flip side to the treating others how you want to be treated, which is that 100%. And also, I treat others how they treat me. For example, I'll bring these. Let me see if I have a good example yet ready. I was still working on my own. Let me get one primed here first. And I know you're working on stuff over there as well. But is there anything you wanted to add at this point thus far?
Not yet. I'm almost done with the thing I'm working on.
Tight.
There's a whole thing there that we'll bring that up. We'll see. Not gonna spoil yet.
Oh yeah. So, okay, here's the one I wanted to bring. I'll have this ready to go in just a second. And that's really, so like the reason we're actually here, and obviously we're here for your entertainment, for your questions, comments, engagements, whatever you want to join and add into the conversation. But the primary reason why we decided to get together today is because the same question keeps coming up over and over and over. That same question always comes up, what do you do when these people, like, I've been asked so many times in the past week, how do you handle the trolls? How do you handle the haters? How do you handle that stuff? And it's not always easy, but you realize it honestly, it gets easier over time, not just because we get more practice dealing with it, but because we see the same patterns. We start to realize certain things when the same people or the same type of person show up over and over again. And now the easiest way, if you're into that, is just delete them, mute them, block them, whatever. I don't like that. I don't believe in censoring the flow of information. I believe in what I call social censorship. Social censorship is what we used to have before people decided to actually enforce real censorship, which is censorship that comes from common sense. It's just like what you talked about earlier. That's social censorship. The common sense that tells you, hey, I've just met this person. I probably shouldn't start telling him about my favorite sex positions right now. I probably shouldn't start interrogating him on who he voted for or what his social stances are. That's social censorship. It's the censorship that comes from people. And actually, I want to address this question because it's actually a perfect one to do it. It's the censorship that comes from regular people letting you know, hey, man, we really don't want to hear about that. Hey, man, that's not cool. Hey, can you keep that shit to yourself? That's social censorship. People always shy away. Oh, it has the word censorship in it. It must be evil and bad. No, when I say social censorship, I don't mean this evil, bad, forced upon you thing. I mean a natural occurrence where we as people realize organically that there are certain things that if we act a certain way or talk about certain things or treat people a certain way, that they're just not going to want to talk to us anymore. They're not going to want to engage with us. They're not going to listen to us. And that creates a natural flow of society where we logically progress to feeling different ways about certain things. It's this outside in, censorship. You can't say those things. You can't say those things. You can't say those things. That's offensive. That's offensive. That's harmful. That now artificially shrinks down language and causes more tribes and more division and less unity.
Just quick thing I wanted to address that you said, which is interesting, how I never actually thought of the framing, of the social censorship. I actually like that term very much. Just wanted to say that. And the other thing as well is, this is a good point, because you're not necessarily, directly responding or reacting to what they are doing, because you're just showing them with actions, not with words, with actions, because actions always speak louder. And you are just giving them the appropriate response in your body language. And that is basically 80% of the time is what dictates how it's going to go.
Exactly.
And what that means is that if you give them a silent treatment, sometimes it's going to speak volumes. And for people who think that, you should get angry at them and go ham, you can go ham, but it has to be a controlled anger. It has to be very, very nicely timed, very nicely measured. It's like you play the whole kings and generals games with them. And when you understand the game and you no longer feel emotional about it, it's a fun game to play. It's a blast.
Exactly. It's so fun because it's no longer about, it's no longer about, ooh, someone hurt my feelings, let me try to get them back. It's the strategic game of, okay, based on the things you've said, what kind of person are you? Therefore, what types of things are going to shut you down, stop you? Or in some cases, I've also had that too, where certain people who aren't trolls, but are actually smarter and maybe got swept up by the trolls and are like, fuck you. But you start talking to them and they start listening and you realize, oh, okay, here's somebody that I can actually talk to. And so, Karma, this is a very disingenuous question that you're asking in the chat here, but I'm going to answer it genuinely and just assume that you're just not smart enough to have thought of these answers yourself, as opposed to, asking a disingenuous question with the intention of being an asshole. So I'll just treat you like you just don't know a lot of things. Why do you have so many haters if you're so nice to people? That's a great question, Karma. Why, if you just go around being nice to people all the time, why do people hate you? God, what a weird thing. That never happens in society. It never happens that really nice people have detractors for no reason. I can't think of a single example of a person who's really nice to people and does really nice things and gets hatred. Oh, right, Sia, the pop singer. I've literally never heard of her do a bad, mean, offensive thing. The only shit I know about her is that she's this weird chick who has these weird quirks. I've always thought of her as a sweet, whatever kind of person who's out to make a movie, doing her very best to tell a positive story for the autistic community. That's very close to home for her and very personal, means a lot. And she's getting torn apart. So that's a nice person getting torn apart for doing something nice.
I mean, look at Jay, drunk 3PO. He literally spent over a decade of his life living in a third world country, trying to build schools, get fresh water, and, take care of children, like orphan children. And then he was raising money over on Geeks and Gamers. They had that whole GoFundMe to build the school in El Salvador for children. And people complained. People said terrible things about him. And it's like, you were literally talking about one of the most kind, generous people on the planet, and you're going to complain about it.
So Karma says it was a serious question. Then I didn't insult you, Karma, because really it's a very, I wasn't trying to be insulting by saying you just don't know a lot of things, because if you're actually earnestly asking this question, why do you have so many haters if you're so nice to people? If that's an earnest, honest question you're asking, then the point I said, which is assuming you just don't know a lot of things, stands. Because exactly what Anna said. Drunk 3POs, Jay, this man's goal in life is for no child to ever feel like they're worthless. That's what he wants. If he could, based on our conversation yesterday, if Jay could do anything for the world, that's what he's on a mission to do, is to make children, all children, no matter where they came from or what they have or don't, feel special and feel worthwhile. So they will bring that into adulthood and be people who feel special and worthwhile.
Can I answer that question as well after you're done? I think I have a good one.
And so there are myriad examples. That's why I said, Karma. I honestly, if you're answering honestly, I don't mean you don't know a lot to be insulting. I literally mean there are myriad examples in the world of when terrible things happen to nice people. So it just feels like a very either naive or disingenuous question.
That just nice guys finish last. It's like, have you never heard of that?
Right? AK,
there is the truth. I was gonna say this as well. There is the truth for that. It's an unfortunate truth. It's an unfortunate reality that we all have to eventually just wake up to. But there is more to it than that. And if we just isolate the idea of the whole nice guys finish last part, which is correct, but if we kind of focus on why the haters come after you for being nice, it's because a lot of times it's very irrational, and a lot of it is usually coming from your subconscious in a way that they project certain things that they don't necessarily like about themselves, or maybe it's things that they see that you can handle something very politely. You can always you're always in control of the situation. You're perfectly cool, you're relaxed, you are not raging like an idiot, whatever. I mean, raging doesn't mean you're an idiot, obviously, because this is going to come up later, but but we are always tempted to think that just because we're nice, we automatically deserve the bestest treatment. Spare your niceness only to those people who are closest to you and deserve it. You don't have to be nice to everybody. That does not mean you have to be an asshole. No, not at all, because we already have right here this topic of discussion about what happens when you are an ass to everybody for no reason. And that's how I ended up in this room as well. So, but
exactly. And I think can't himself about people use nice with
never. But don't expect just you're nice and that is gonna be something that's gonna win you people all of a sudden. It's a lot of it is just that when you give this nice treatment to someone, a lot of it may just be not deserved on their side. You may just be given something like, if you give money to a beggar, sometimes you think you're helping them, but they just go and waste it all on drugs. But you were nice to him, but for some reason they just went and spent it on drugs. So go figure. And it's not your fault. It's not because you're bad, because you're being nice. Not at all. It's just because that's just how things work sometimes. You just gotta be a bit more careful and just don't spend this. It's a currency. It's a currency that's very hard to recover, by the way. Don't waste it.
And so that's like back to the golden rule and treating other people how you want to be treated. There's a world of difference between nice and decent. You know, I can be it doesn't cost me anything to be decent to every human being I meet unless they give me a reason not to be. Nice is different. Kind is different. Going out of your way to be helpful, like you said, AK, that's something you reserve for the people you care about and you're close to. But as far as applying the golden rule to your life, being nice and being decent aren't necessarily the same. Like you can be a decent person who is good to people who you wouldn't necessarily describe as nice. Which I want to catch up on some super chats since we're getting behind. But
feel free. You're the boss.
The second part of that answer to that question is I'm not a nice person. I don't self-describe as a nice person, but I am a decent person, and I do treat people how they treat me. And if they are good to me and they demonstrate that they are good to me, I will gladly, I'll be there for them. And where were we? Okay, so the rookie critic, that's one I can't highlight because it timed out for me, but says $5, one for every year of harassing. Crazy. It is nuts. Can you imagine that? Like, think of yourself as the chat. Can you imagine finding a YouTuber you hated? A YouTuber, right? Or a creator, an artist, somebody like. And mind you, first of all, this is something that I should have been doing sooner because our friend here, AK Rex, only has 859 subscribers right now. This should change. That his link to the channel is already in the description. But if you're here and you're not already a subscriber of our wonderful guest, that link is going in the chat as well for you to click on. So we're talking about someone who hasn't even cracked that 1,000 sub mark yet. And who's got this fucking stalker who will come on your videos, leave comments on your videos, all of that crazy shit for 5 years. Can you guys imagine going to like one of those gray council channels, like the movie productions, Mad Max movie, or that asshole is the one who like stole the King's Gamers logo, who has like a couple thousand subs or a few hundred subs or whatever it is. Can you imagine going to one of their channels, any one of you guys, like, and only and like watching everything they do and commenting on everything they do and all of that stuff. What were we talking about here? Ninja Lair Steve says, I've just learned to live with it as part of her character, like the goth kid on South Park. Was that Grogu's name still? Maybe that was the name still, that we just deal with it. Like, it's just Grogu. It's whatever. It's kind of how I feel about it too.
It's funny that I'm such a small YouTuber. I literally pretty much, on the YouTube standards, I don't account for anything really. But the said person, the beta twat waffle one, basically, he's literally, he's got a big following. This guy got everything in favor against me, and yet he's so threatened by me. He's absolutely threatened by what I'm doing, by how I'm framing things, how I'm saying things, and it's funny because I don't even pay attention to him anymore and to his Twitter brigade. When I produce a video as of late, I just maybe say one or two things at most, and then, as I said, we may be few in number here on our front lines, but every single one of mine fights with the strength of 10 regular ones out there. So, like, I train my subs like Spartans. They will, like, literally, if these guys, even on mass, it's like 50 of them, even if they come in mass dislike, then they start commenting. 3 of my guys will mop the floors with their faces, like this. They'll destroy them.
Did you enjoy the 300, the movie?
It was good for what it was trying to be.
Agreed.
I know, of course, the real story, and I'm a very big history buff, so yes, of course, I know what happened.
Oh yeah. But, what I think
it was fun,
cool, though, is like in terms of the actual historical events. Obviously, there were tons of embellishments and all the magic, video gaminess, and whatnot.
It's very romanticized a little bit as well.
Oh, yeah. So. What I appreciated though is they actually kept the story pretty true to the Battle of Thermopylae. Which I really liked, and I like that album. Gladiator is my favorite movies of all time. Which the details are more accurate, unlike 300, whereas the story is totally fanciful. So like the story in the 300 follows history fairly respectfully, but embellishes all of the details. Gladiator to me is like the polar opposite, where it's so focused on the details, but it writes a new story that never actually happened.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
So that yell they did in 300, though, that ow, ow, ow.
Oh yes, that was like my biggest thing. It's like every time they go like, I brought, Spartans, what is your profession? And they all just went, oh, that's basically my subscribers. That's them.
I was about to say,
if I ask them right now, what is your profession? Guys, come on, like type this Spartan thing right now. Spam the chat a little bit. What's your profession? Go for it. Knock yourselves out. Don't be shy.
So that's what I was going to say. Since you already do the Spartan thing, I got to think of my own. But you would have loved my fencing team in college. First of all, we were the Brute Squad, which was named after the Brute Squad from Princess Bride. Our logo was a drawing of Andre the Giant in that scene where he's about to throw the rock, where he's like, I could kill you right now. But instead of holding the rock, he's holding a saber over his head. And when we would go to competitions, I would go, Brute Squad, what is your profession? And my whole team would go, ow, ow, ow. You got him. We got Saro Khan, Joshua Belize, Zimzilla 99, Haza the Fox.
They're all my guys, by the way.
We got clearly.
Haza is basically he's a guy from Australia. He's a paleo artist. He does like these very nice sort of diagrams, and he does like size comparisons. He's very thorough in his research. I specifically went to a museum in my hometown in Russia just to give him this nice animal, photographs of the specimen. That was the only known assembled specimen on display. And I happened to be there, and he emailed me at the same time. And I just went there like, there you go, catch. Just got them like literally on a short notice. That was really nice.
That's so cool. And
Josh,
also, I know our stated mission objective here is owning the trolls and talking about how we,
the trolls,
and shitting on those people. But Deadheart followed up on the envy, topic. And if you guys also, I mean, we acknowledge the Mindless Mob and your Spartans and everyone is full of other people who also have channeled and are working on or thinking about becoming creators. So if you have other questions too, we are here today. This stream is about us being here for you and demonstrating, just giving that little insight, the little slice of life, the little, this is part of the job, dealing with these assholes. How do we do it? So if you have other questions like that or other, things
I'll say one other thing about how to deal with them. Exactly. It's a very effective tactic. It's a very good one.
Yeah.
Don't get angry. Get even.
I like that one. I like that one a lot.
2 seconds. I just need to adjust something here. 2 seconds.
I'll read this one from Deadheart, who says, I still have the problem of being envious of other people's talents. I compare my own work, very effective in discouragement, but not healthy. I feel like that's a really common problem that a lot of people have. I feel like you're preaching to the choir on this one for a lot of people. And so I go back to kind of what I said before. I was that way. That was why I figured out a new way to deal with envy, was because I had the same problem I'm like so they get up on those super chats so we can start screen sharing and stuff. I used to have the same problem of getting really discouraged because I would always compare myself to other people. And again, I think for you, Deadheart, if it's such a powerful emotion for you, then I think it's exactly the way to go. Is like stop rather than one, leaning into the envy, with the comparisons and getting down on your work. But also don't try to run away from it because it's trying to tell you something, right? Look at someone like Jeff. Jeff, right behind me here, you may or may not be aware, has his own comic. I'm sure I have there's a boxes and boxes. Here's one right here. Jeff did his own. There's a whole bunch under the table. Jeff put out his own graphic novel this year or last year. Was its official first launch and all that, and it's incredible. It's this beautiful book. The final form after the printing snafu is gorgeous with beautiful binding, beautiful cover, beautiful art inside, all drawn by him. And what happens in our community, is of course everyone compares it back to Ethan. So no matter where you're at, Deadheart, someone like Jeff, who's one of the premier channels in the fandom, who has this incredible comic. And is just about to launch this beautiful second cover, still has to deal with people, wanting to online all the time compare it to Ethan's work. Whereas for Jeff, maybe there was a time that it affected him or not, but it's like eventually you have to realize like Ethan, and this is what Jeff always tells me, is like it's not fair because Ethan has been doing this professionally for years. I've been doing this as a hobby mostly until, last year. This is his first independent project. Yes, Ethan's, Cyberfrog was his first independently published comic as well, but he's been drawing professional comics
since I was almost my entire life. That was the quote I used.
What?
He's been drawing for 26
years.
That's
I'm
true.
only
32.
That's very true.
He's been doing it professionally.
He's been doing it
my entire
exactly.
existence.
He's been doing it professionally as long as he's been alive. So you don't even have the years. You don't physically have the years.
But it is nice to always be in the same conversation with a dude who's credited in big movies.
So
it doesn't bother me at all.
There's the flip of it, right? And that's how you deal. So you could get caught up in that sense of like, oh well, it's just not as good as Ethan's. My campaign it is well Ethan than this. That's the way Jeff looks at it, right? Jeff has no resume in the mainstream comic book industry in terms of work, connections, those things. It's well, connections now, but before all this, no resume in that regard. And so to put out his first comic and be in the same conversation as someone like Ethan Van Sciver is a gift. So Deadheart, that's where I'll steer you as well, is look for the flip side, right? The flip side, even without me knowing anything about you or your work or the stuff you do, the flip side is that you make your own work. There are people out there who are looking at the same people's work that you're looking at, feeling the same envy, but they're feeling that envy because in their mind, they're going, I'm just as good, but they haven't even started. And maybe they are just as good as those incredible people, but you are already miles ahead of them because you started. So that's the other part of envy too. Use it as a roadmap to figure out how to get you to where you want to go. But remember that for every person you're envious of, there are probably 10 other people envious of something you have that they don't. And that's a huge thing. Deadheart, the fact that you have work you can compare to that you've actually, whatever medium you work in, have created something that you can even compare it to, puts you miles ahead of any of these other people who want to bitch and moan about work or this, or want to feel down about other people's work and shit, who haven't even started creating. So exactly, Deadheart, take the feeling, use it to your advantage. It's there. It's not going anywhere. Envy is a very powerful feeling. You can't wish it away. You can't meditate envy away. So this is not just for Deadheart. This is for everybody out there feeling envy, going, oh, well, society tells me to just meditate and feel better. No, fuck that shit. That does not work. Envy is not really an emotion. It's a response. It's a visceral, powerful response that we don't really have a lot of control over. So when you're out there feeling envy and the people in your life want to say, oh, just get over it, just be the bigger person, just grow up. No, they're fucking wrong. They're not in the right way that you're going. Again, this is for everybody. You feel that pang of envy. That's letting you know you're on the right track. You're looking at the right things because something you're looking at goes, I want to do that. Makes you go, I want to do that. So figure out what it is in that thing that you can do. Like we talked about, just because you're envious of somebody does not necessarily mean you can have whatever they have. But what parts of what they have can you achieve for yourself? Can you get? Or maybe you're envious of their success, their wealth, their that. Read their fucking autobiography. Read the story of their life. How did they get it? Someone you're envious of, they have something I don't want. Figure out how they got it, because you can do it too. And then again, also that you feel envy, right? If you're just having a shitty day and you're like, oh, I wish I was this, I wish I was that. Literally, it'll help you. Take 5 minutes, force yourself to just, even if you have to write it down, a list that you don't even believe in of 5 things you have that someone else doesn't. Make yourself do this shit. And you will, trust me, you will realign your thinking. Changing your thought processes about shit like this works the same as changing a bad habit. It's the same things. Hey, perfect example, Leviathan. I can't get Anna, but I can try looking like Henry Cavill. Right? What a great way to put it. And exactly. Leviathan, wonderful, amazing.
You'd still have to queue behind Henry Cavill, though.
The whole point is that, maybe he's not gonna, he's envious of Henry Cavill because Anna pays a lot of attention to Henry Cavill and not to him. So instead of being a jackass and running around making videos about how terrible Anna is because she's such a shallow person because she doesn't love him, Leviathan shows up every week and supports Anna. And maybe he's going to go on a journey. Who knows? Maybe he's going to go on a journey to get a Henry Cavill body. And maybe the result of that he's gonna find the woman of his dreams. Who knows?
Maybe you know what? Maybe if he becomes the next quote unquote Henry Cavill, he will just realize that he's not interested in Anna anymore. Sorry, Anna.
It's okay.
Or realize that the thing he wants is not necessarily, you know, Anna, but like, oh, I want, like, it's a litmus test.
It's whatever that feeling is that is actually associated. It doesn't mean it's the thing, the object.
It's the exact same kind of thing, right? For someone like Leviathan, right, who may feel like, oh, I'm envious of Henry Cavill because Anna, you know, obviously we're joking all that because she spends so much attention to him. So, you know, Leviathan's going to go out in the world and do all these things to make himself the way he wants to be, and then he's going to find somebody who looks at him the way Anna looks at Henry Cavill. And that's when he's going to be happy. That's what it's going to be. And that knowing that, like seeing the way Anna, you know, talked about Henry Cavill and all that stuff and whatnot, maybe is the thing that's going to make him realize that's the kind of relationship I want. I want a woman who actually appreciates me, you know, who's really physically attracted to me no matter what. Cool. And that's awesome. So let's zip through some more of these super chats. I know it's like, because I believe we finally got all the pieces we need to dive in.
I have enough for now. I know that we're going to keep this at 2 hours or almost at an hour in.
Yeah, we need to get some of this troll slaying stuff, guys.
So I think Jesse will read the super chats. I will say a little bit something just to give everyone a glimpse into, this is not even nearly what I deal with, but this is just the extent of when somebody goes very far publicly. And, you know, okay, so read your super chats and I'll give a little bit of backstory.
Fair enough. So we got a few that rolled in that I can't highlight yet because you guys have been so awesome, being very active in the chat and very active in the super chats. So we got Christopher Arcella, who says, as someone who went to School of Visual Arts, I share similar experience as you, Jesse, at dealing with and experiencing SJWs in college from the start. I'm not surprised, Christopher Arcella. You probably have some very, very similar experiences. It happens a lot at these liberal arts colleges where, you know, a lot of emphasis on art, on creating art, or an art school, you know, School for Visual Arts. The emphasis is on that a certain type of person, a person who's encouraged to be themselves and explore in this. And that's exactly what got corrupted and polluted into going from, oh, it's a safe space where you can explore and become whoever you want to be, to it's a safe space where literally no one can do or say anything offensive to you.
Yep.
How can you explore and be safe? I don't understand that. Those things just don't mix.
Exactly. The whole previous concept of college as a, quote, safe space is exactly what we're talking about. It's training wheels adulthood. You know, you are responsible for your work, for your classes, for making sure you eat, for making sure your room gets clean, your laundry gets done, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But your tuition, you know, is figured out before the semester. Your meals are paid for usually in your meal plan if you live on campus, you know, things like that. Like certain parts of adulthood you just don't have to do. More safety nets. You have counselors and administrative people and, you know, and faculty advisors and stuff to give you guidance and whatnot. It's training wheels, real life. But the whole point is exactly like you said. How do you learn if it's always safe? How do you can't without making mistakes? If it's always safe, you can't make mistakes. If you can't make mistakes, you can't learn. So
especially if you're an independent, being an independent, in fact, and I'm starting to see some of the fruits of it right now, actually, after years, by the way, of trying to get somewhere and testing and trial and error, you know, and all of this stuff. And I will tell you that I even lost quite a bit of money in the beginning as well. You know, I thought that this was going to just go to shit. And, well, no, not at all. In fact, it actually went almost the opposite. And as an independent, you will always feel more rewarded for what you achieve. But it's not going to be a quick result. Don't expect a quick result. Just don't ever expect quick results. And also, the grind is real, guys. The grind is 100% real.
So much crying. So much crying. It really is. Like, it's not an exaggeration. That's a comedian I know it does a great joke where he talks about, I went to theater school. So when you want to think what's different from theater school to regular school, twice as much crying, twice as much sex, and then the girls show up. And that's a great way to put it. I'm like, that's what it's those weirdo theater kids. But the thing is, like, I was a weirdo theater kid at some point, but like, it's the weirdo theater kids who, instead of learning that the world is a mean place that hates them and that they need to go out into the world and make their own pockets of specialness for themselves, they said, no, we're going to be our weird theater kid bubble forever and everyone else has to play by our rules. And it's not good enough if we can have our own space over here. We need to make literally everyone in the world cow to our way of life. And we won't be happy until then. And when that happens, you won't be happy because you'll move the fucking goalpost. It's so fucking true. It's so.
By the way, wanted to quickly say before we get into the troll slaying, I just want to check the morale of the chat and to make sure that all swords are sharpened and ready for some taking heads off and stuff like that, because SJWs are gonna cry, and that's what we're here for to do as well.
If you know any, or you have any places you can post things where you think SJWs will accidentally think that they're welcome here, please send it, because making their I live off of their tears. In the meantime, we have Council of Sean says, after I entered the break room, I'd be banned from there for life. Well, Joshua Balls says, most hate isn't about a person's character or deeds. It's about their stance on whatever the other holds sacred. Exactly right, Joshua Balls. I think that's a perfect way of saying it. And that's, explains like why it doesn't matter what kind of person you are. If I put out a video stating my point of view, I didn't attack anybody. I didn't go after anybody. I didn't speak to anyone directly to offend them or insult them. Someone had to come to my channel or click on the link to see my video. So I didn't do anything to them. But they're still going to watch those videos and hate me. Some of those people are still going to watch the video, hate me, attack me, despise me, shit on me, treat me like garbage, just because they don't like what I said. They don't like what I stand for.
Jess, that would still require them to actually even take the time to watch the video, by the way.
True. Which most of them don't even do. They just title and then they
99% of the time they don't. And it's very obvious from how they frame their conversations. And if I may, I wanted to quickly, I remembered a very nice tip. And this is something that I come to quite just recently after the experience of dealing with these idiots. When you're dealing with these people, do not ever expect to reach any kind of agreement.
No.
Just get rid of this dream. Get rid of that blue pill, basically, fantasy, that you're ever gonna, achieve any kind of agreement or common ground. You're not.
And that's
they make it clear from get-go that's not happening. Then when you're going in, the best you can expect, and if this is the reason for you to engage at all, if you want to actually do that, is just have fun. Just basically get yourself a rent-free space. I got, this one, you guys,
we came over this week and got beers. It's great. You got a whole setup. You got like tons of.
I already had a setup in that, empty big skull of this number one, guys.
Full of you and your friends.
Me and my friends were already living there for years, rent-free, and you just showed up, basically. So join the club.
It's fucking gorgeous in there. No, you're so right, and that's exactly what all this is about, right? And I'm going to get into that too, because one of our last super chats goes into the exact same kind of thing, and what this is all about. We've got Hawk Chick History Corner says, currently it's because the personal has become political. Oh, so if you disagree with their opinions, you are disagreeing with their person, which is a path that has madness at the end. Exactly, Hawk Chick History Corner. Exactly. So you're totally right. I don't know exactly where they came in the conversation, if that was about your, being involved or not. But you're exactly right.
And yet, you know what? They make politics like this is what absolutely just baffles me, about these people. They make politics. Politics is only one small, like when you have a diamond, right? And imagine the diamond is basically your personality. And imagine there's like one flat surface that's like tiny, one surface out of 100, whatever plus. And this is one part of your personality. That's one part is politics, and they make it like the whole personality is about that one part. What about all the other parts? What about everything else? What about the times, when you just, have lunch together and discuss what your favorite food is? What about playing football? What about, sparring in a gym, and all this stuff? What about talking about when you had your first time with a girl, whatever, or a boy? All of this stuff. Where did all that go? Exactly. What about your hobbies? What about your creativity?
Things that actually make you. Exactly. What? Tell me about those things, because guess what?
Yeah, tell me about those things, but they can't, and they don't.
No, they don't have those things. All they have are the sum of their ideas. Leviathan says, here's some more donations to cute, tiny little SP. Aw. Also, hail our Queen Anna. Yep, no. Pancake has been super loved today. I think he's asleep now because he was just all over me before. I couldn't get him off of me. He wanted to sit on my computer, in my face, love me, rub me, all this cute stuff. So thank you for that. The Council of Sean says it's because people don't understand it's far worse to have a nice and kind enemy than a mean person. Very true too, Council of Sean, who also says I give everyone the same respect and take away some or give some depending on how they treat me. That's kind of how I approach things too, Sean. I have sort of the baseline level of decency and respect I give to everybody, and it goes up. Your stock goes up or down based on how you react to me.
I have a rant about respect, by the way. This is one of the things that I've got in with one of these people, and they're from my side of the community, from Paleo community. It was one of the Facebook groups, because where else do you expect these things to come up, right? Mm-hmm. This stupid ass bullshit always comes up on Twitter. Second best is usually Facebook and Instagram. So, and there was this guy, again, this is what would we say? It's a beta twat waffle number 2. Basically, he said to me something along the lines of, but you have to respect me, something like this. And I'm like, well, excuse me, repeat that again. And he's like, but, you have to give respect. I'm like, wait a minute. Do you understand what is the difference between the common courtesy and being polite versus respect? You know that respect is something that generally the way you look at it is that you have a set of characteristics, and you have the other person with another set of characteristics. And let's say that if you say that you respect the other person, that means that there are certain characteristics about this person that he has shown and demonstrated, whether it's directly to yourself or to the world, that you were observing from the sidelines, and you got to admire these things. In other words, he put in some work out there, whether he knew about it or not, consciously or just by accident, whatever, it doesn't matter. The result is still the same, that it gives you this feeling of admiration for this person's traits, because he earned it. Respect is earned. If anybody ever goes back to where I came from, like 90s Russia before I moved here, if you go there on the streets into my Armenian hood and tell them that they need to give you respect, these people will bend you over, pass you around 3 laps, clockwise, anti-clockwise, and you're not going to be able to sit down for about 2 weeks after that. If you tell them that they have to give you respect because fucking reasons.
Because fuck you.
Because just fuck you and your bitch, get the...
Exactly.
That's what they're going to do to you. They don't take that shit.
Exactly. My favorite one, too. My favorite one is after they've already created the controversy, whatever it is, you're only fucking talking to them because they came after you or said something shitty to you or did something shitty. You're only talking to them in the first place, and they want to pull the whole if you're not going to respect me, we can't have this conversation. And be like, really, bitch?
Well,
really?
Then we don't want to have the conversation.
Realize respect was the entry level point to have this conversation. Because if we needed respect for this conversation to fucking start, then it's over. It already is over. You're fucking right, and it was over before it started because you're a goddamn twat.
Yep. And a dried up one of that as well.
Who was that?
I said, and a dried up one as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Because most of them really are in many ways, metaphorically speaking, because they are just they have no, when you talk to them, they have no fluidity. There's these things when the conversation is just not flowing right. There's just this whole rigid. There's a reason why I also said about stripping them of their personality. Notice the common denominator. They all follow the same program, all the same NPC program code. And at the moment the code breaks, it's like they're they become like these, it's like the demon inside them that's possessing them is glitching, lagging like really bad. It's like connection error or something.
Exactly. Council Sean says, "Don't feed."
Where did Anna go? By the way, did she just
Anna has sometimes her computer updates and it gets frozen. So I'm assuming, as I was gonna say next. So I'm assuming Anna probably had a computer issue, which is why she dropped all of a sudden. I know if you guys, she was going to be she has a lot to say for the stream and whatnot too. But we've been getting together.
I am really baffled by this. Let's say, who is it? It's a twat waffle number 1. So that one. My God, this fucking guy, he actually makes effort, to go out and I just remember this chat that you guys had. By the way, I was literally pissing myself laughing in my armchair when I saw you absolutely just shred him on this live stream. I was just like, my God, this guy because I know what he is. I know his patterns like this. And I knew what was going to happen and that he was going to just fuck up really badly. And then I'm like sitting there like, this is going to hurt. I knew already that this was going to hurt.
Oh my God. Fucking love it. And so Councilor Sean, Exactly what we were saying. Don't feed the trolls. They want you to try to engage with them to be right. And that's only people want to say, don't give them attention. Don't give them this. Attention is fine. That's a great blanket approach if you don't want to get into the nuance. But the nuance is where the fun begins. Like
you can use them as your sparring robots, by the way, just to kind of polish your debating skills, just as long as you know that when you just want to stop and just get out of there, and that's it. That's what I do as well.
For me,
I just polish my skills of debating with them.
Exactly. I treat it as this is just practice for me. This is just practice for when somebody who actually has a brain wants to come in and go one-to-one. So
the only thing is that I usually just give them a bit of a thing to start off with. I go in with a blunt sword first,
Oh yeah. And then they get all tizzied out, outraged, blah blah blah. And Makini actually brings to us a really great question for this stream to address. Question: I did an art stream on Wednesday that was false flagged and struck down twice. It's back up, but how do you handle people who may want to take your channel down? AK, have you had any experience with any of the false flagging and the?
I've never had any of this. I mean, I'm not really that kind of guy yet who probably pissed off anybody who would really go through the lengths. But I guess once I do, that will be like a new badge of honor to put on the shoulder. But we'll have to wait for that to happen just yet. But I think maybe based on what I'm seeing from how people handle it, like Jeremy, from the Geeks and Gamers, and like you guys, just if there is grounds for it, just I guess appeal it. I mean, I don't know what else you can do really. Just appeal it and try to rely on the common sense if there is any of the people who are going to be looking at the appeal. That's all you can do really.
Exactly, because the shitty thing is that false flagging is still a great anonymous way for people to attack your channel. The convenient thing is, though, because it's this anonymous and disingenuous way, there is that built-in backdoor of the manual review process and the appeals process to get it reinstated. So unfortunately, when a video comes down like that and gets, you got it back up, that's the win, is getting the video reinstated. The two things you can do from that, you can do a couple things. One is anytime it happens, you just always, as quickly as possible, fight it and get it back up to demonstrate to them it doesn't matter how much you do this, it's not actually going to stop my videos. They keep coming back up. The other thing you can do also is you're connected, you've got a lot of great friends in this community as well. Maki90, reach out to a few people to do a stream all of this or make a video all of this too. The thing is because we're all so well aware of how YouTube fucks around with people, there is an abundance of sympathy in our community for when people are getting dicked by YouTube or dicked by false flaggers. We got the original Boulder Boy, Mundane Matt, who always lives fondly in our memory as the original.
The Quartering does an excellent covering of these things as well.
Exactly. And so sometimes coming out and just letting people know what's happening brings the awareness of the community, of the positive side of the community, as well as the assholes and the detractors. And a lot of times what happens then is when the spotlight goes on you, even if it's not necessarily about cashing in and, getting a bunch of, props and subs in this, it's about putting the spotlight, redirecting the spotlight for a second. Even if just, a brief stint on a live stream or a short video that, I'm always happy to post videos like that. We always are. To just let people know, because then more people than usual put eyes on your channel. More people than usual are going to be there to, if the people start getting shitty in the comments or start, doing this. Now, first of all, people, even though it's anonymous, are going to be less likely to false flag it because they feel like, oh shit, now everyone's watching. And they're not going to get as shitty in the comments and stuff because they're going to realize, oh, there's some muscle behind this user. We don't want to fuck with that.
Jess, there is a very good message that I just saw in the chat. Zimzilla, one of my guys as well, and he says he has experience basically with false flagging, and he says a very last point that's very important. If you know that you're going to lose the case, and if you lost it and they just refused it, take the L and carry on. Don't try to push it too hard, because here's another thing. Every time you lose ground on these premises, and because, as you said, the community is very tight, everybody knows what's going on. Nobody is stupid, exactly. And everybody knows what's up. So that means that once you lost that bit of ground, it gets around. And once it gets around, it's inevitable that you're going to be able to eventually, in the long term, because you have to think long term, 10 steps ahead, then you're going to be able to regain the ground and also multiply that if you are very smart about it. So, take the L this time. Next time, multiply your victory tenfold and you won anyway.
Yep.
It's inevitable. It's inevitable.
Exactly. No, I think you're absolutely right.
There's no way to stop that happening.
No, and that's exactly. And like there's also something to be said too. Like don't be afraid. This is something people get caught up in this idea today that because there's no forgiveness and there's no
redemption, nothing, no correction, nothing.
What?
No redemption, no way to correct,
no forgiveness, no anything. People get confused in thinking that because there's no opportunity for forgiveness or redemption with these people, that there's somehow no value in admitting when you're wrong or apologizing. There's so much more value in that than anything else, because whatchamacallit, where did I just lose my train of thought? There's just dropped my train of thought. Thinking that there's.
Do you want me to take over this one?
No, I had the perfect point lined up, and then I read something in the chat, and it just everything that was in my head is just like gone.
All right, Disney, take care, mate. Thanks for coming over. He's going away, so I'm just quickly saying bye.
Peace, Disney Senior. It's good to see you. Glad to be caught up. In the meantime, Deadheart says, "Yo, can I get a motivational quote from Rex?" So
motivational quote from me. Oh my God. It's funny that I always remember so many quotes on a daily basis. And whenever someone asks me, all of a sudden, I just sit there in a stupor and I can't remember which one do I use. But if I use one, then I remember I should have used the other one instead. And I'll say before I come up with one quote at least, do read some good books, because I think that's even a better sort of advice that I can give in that sense. That just not just a quote, but, it's more about really... quotes, they happen, how do I say this? This may be just my English glitching a little bit, but you can learn a lot from these quotes, from these really good literature. I'm reading Sun Tzu's Art of War. When I finish it, I'm going to be rereading it 5 more times after that.
I still need to read that one.
And it has many quotes in this as well. It has so many quotes. I don't have it in front of me here, but I cannot remember a single one. And that's why I'm saying you need to reread it so you can remember it as well. Because you got to inbrain it. It has to be imprinting it. You have to be thinking the art of war all the time when you're doing this kind of stuff.
How much, remember how much you would like Fire? I think you would like Firefly. There's an episode.
Oh, yeah. You told me about that one last night. Yeah, that's one. Yeah. Okay, I'll have a look at that.
Firefly, where 2 different characters during the episode reference Sun Tzu's Art of War. Two different characters reference it in the same. It's part of the theme of the episode is his chapter about how to know yourself and stuff like that.
What I've come up with not exactly a quote for the person who asked this one. I've come up with a scene which has a series of dialogue, which I think is a very important series. If you haven't watched Scarface. And remember the scene in the restaurant where Tony Montana basically just calls everybody a bunch of fucking assholes. And he goes you don't have the guts to be where you want to be. You need people like me. And when he said, you need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say that's the bad guy, what does that remind you of? What does that really remind you of? What we have right here, don't we?
Exactly.
How many bad guys? Well, there are 2 sitting right here, right now, in front of the cameras, and we are technically the bad guys. And there are a bunch of SJW trolls who need us because their miserable existence depends on us. We know it, which is why we are fucking loving it. Because if we go away, they're gonna fucking disappear as well, but not disappear in a good way. They're gonna be miserable because they will have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
No, for real though.
Absolutely. But thank you, Hard, to his history corner, because he jogged my memory. He got my train of thought back. So I'm glad someone's listening. Apologize for out of those watching. Now I remember exactly where I was that you may think there's no value in apologizing because the people attacking you, the people who dredged this up and made the controversy, that that they don't, they're not going to accept it. But exactly what Hard to his history corner says, and I'll take it one further. It's not even just for the fans, but when you apologize or when you admit that you're wrong because you know that you are, it doesn't matter, because the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to jump all over you. See, I was right. Immediately though. Yeah. And guess what? I'm the bigger fucking person because I can actually admit when I'm wrong. Have you? Can you ever? No. And instead, when I'm the bigger person admitting when I'm wrong, you want to rub my face in it. So all it does is it just shows so clearly, draws such a clear contrast between the quality of your character and the quality of their character. And then it's not just for your fans, but for all potential future fans who now have this as part of your body of work or your personal history to look at and say, oh, how is this person a decent person or not? Oh, well, the SJWs say they're hateful and bigoted and this and that. And these people say, well, they're smart and they're talented and they're this and that. Okay. And you go through their body of work and you come across a couple of these controversies and you come across the statements they made and the way they reacted to it. And if they just double down, even when they were wrong, it's going to mean something different to you than if you see a moment of, oh, wow, shit, they realized they were wrong and they owned up to it.
I never actually remember myself actually like literally apologizing, like properly. Like I never did that. I don't think I ever really truly did that. All I did was I always said, you know what, that was bad. I own it and I'll fix it later. And I do. I just say that I'm a man of my word. Where I came from, our street mentality, we value, these things. If you give a promise, you keep it or you're gonna die for it. It's like that. It's like you die trying or you keep it. And that's why I never actually said, oh, I'm sorry, like get the fuck out of here. I ain't never doing that shit. Like I'm not a beta twat like one of those guys we're breaking up here. By the way, this is another funny thing about these trolls. You know what? It's a bit off topic. Sorry, I'm just jumping around here a little. But do you think they have ever actually, and I mean truly, helped a single soul on this planet? Like, have they ever picked up a screwdriver, to fix something? Have they ever, taken out a spider from their sister's room who screams her lungs out or shit like that? Have they ever actually done anything useful to people?
Literally, Jay, Drunk 3PO, raising money to build schools for children in countries that don't have it. What the fuck are you doing? Who the fuck are you? Like, you want body of work. People have asked me, like, what have you done charitably, Jesse? Okay, well, you want to ask because people have done that. They're like, well, what do you do charitably? What do you do that's giving? Well, first of all, I'm calling out people who are running around saying that you need to be doing all these good and wonderful things and not doing them. I don't run my mouth off saying that everyone needs to be acting a certain way and going out and doing more good while not doing any myself. Second of all, you want my fucking resume in terms of the charitable work I've done in my life? And in some cases, just because I wanted to? We were talking about the other day. Literally, a friend of mine and I spent a year, once a week, babysitting through this program. We weren't even sure if we were going to do it or not. We showed up every fucking week for this a very, very difficult special needs child, really little boy named Adam, simply because we saw how much it helped the mom and wanted to do it. I volunteered at various points in my life at various different therapeutic riding stables because when you see a differently abled kid, when you see a kid with special needs who's maybe nonverbal, who can't really do much, sit on a horse and laugh and smile. And this was fucking great. This was one of my favorite memories. I'm an aide as a teenager. I'm an aide at a barn for therapeutic riding. And we've got a kid in a wheelchair who's very low on the verbal spectrum, can make some noises and a few word-like things, but very low on the verbal spectrum. Needs to be on the horse. I need to be leading the horse and have a hand on his leg to make sure he doesn't fall off. The instructor's on the other side, making this guy is very low functioning. She, by the way, meanwhile, is having him play this. We're walking this little pony around. He's playing basketball with like a little kitty plastic hoop. The kid's probably about my age. Throwing the balls into the hoop and whatnot. And he misses one really badly. And she goes, "What are you, retarded?" And he laughs. He breaks out this big smile and this huge laugh because he's in on the fucking joke. It was so special to him to be in on the joke. And this kid who has no qualms about this important adult in his life joking about him being retarded is smiling and laughing. He showed up here in the wheelchair, listless, no expression, practically catatonic. He is smiling, laughing, throwing a basketball on a horse. That shit is beautiful. Doing that stuff is fucking beautiful.
It's disarming as well, by the way. Like,
exactly.
It's really disarming.
You're not prepared for it. That's the whole thing. That's why it's so disingenuous when these SJWs want to walk around going, "I know what it means to do these things for this community."
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Don't. Because if you'd actually ever done something like that, if you'd actually ever given something like that to the community, you would not be sitting here preaching about how wonderful of a gift you've given to the world. You would be sitting here talking about how humbling it was to be privy to that moment. And one of the moments I have to go back to is when I
can I screen share quickly so we can just maybe look briefly? Of course, we're not going to read all the comments, but it's just people in the chat can obviously skim through them. This is an example of how basically my guys go in there and take care of people like that Twat Waffle #1, basically. So I'm doing a screen share now, so you can pick it up at any point, and I'm just going to zoom in. Right here, one comment under a video that I've made, it was regarding how politics should not be a part of, the whatever community that we're in, whether it's a hobby or it's a...
Shouldn't be. The fuck do politics have to do with dinosaurs? They went extinct millions of years ago. The fuck do modern politics have to do with dinosaurs? Nothing.
All of these guys whose avatars are not smudged, and except for me, of course, they're all these people who are not... Oh, by the way, I forgot to smudge some of the places where the name appears, but so it's accidents happen. I didn't know what's going on. Accidents happen. But yeah, there's some of them here that just literally, this guy, Spideytron, he destroys him. Like, he rips him, like, he turned him into a Swiss cheese here, literally.
Do you want to read that one out loud for us?
Yeah, he just kind of goes, into like avoiding the debates and all that stuff. And then the best one here is when he finalizes this whole thing. He goes, weak, 1 out of 10, still can come up with decent comeback or defend his stance, claims properly. Again, internet virtue points, and tweets aren't equivalent to being a good man. Good men / women don't need to have a public displays to try and prove to everyone how righteous they are. No wonder you avoid debates. That was easy. I accept your surrender. Todd.
Wow. And my favorite part about that is week 1 out of 10 of like the implication already there is like you're already going to be here whining and crying. You'll be here forever, like whining and crying no matter what. This is the beginning. After a week of the shit, you haven't come up with anything. You'll be here for next week and the week after and the week after. And it's like, what do you want to accomplish? That's such a great, but this, like, to me, you and these guys in your community,
trying to make my comment section a personal wank space. Like, no, thank you. Take that somewhere else, please.
Ew.
Like, I don't want to be fucking, looking
so
at that shit.
Like, so what he does, it's like, ew. I don't understand. I'll get to one of my favorite ones in a point because it goes back to everything we say about being decent and treating people how they treat you. If they treat you a certain way, sorry. Go Big or Go Home, though, doing slightly different but related points, is if you ever uploaded a demonetized video and had success in monetizing it, had YouTube limit monetization and got denied on appeal without a good reason. I get denied on appeals without good reasons all the fucking time. It's totally arbitrary.
I mean, define good reason to begin with when it comes to YouTube,
Well, they have it, it's in their fucking term. That's the whole joke of it. It's in their terms of service, strong language, these topics, these great. I went through my video. It has nothing.
Define strong.
Well, so that's the whole why I started the show, right? When you set up monetization for a live stream or video, it says, is there strong profanity? It gives you a few examples like the F word, cunt, whatever, stuff like that. Does this appear either in the title of your video, the description, or the intro, which I might even say is the first 15 seconds or something like that?
Can I quickly address something? Just sorry. Karma says, I thought you said this person was harassing you, but sounds like you enjoy debating him. May I ask a counter question? How does these things mutually exclude each other? Just because I enjoy debating someone doesn't actually invalidate the point that he still may be harassing.
Yeah, just because
they're not mutually exclusive things.
Just because I am taking delight in tormenting him does not mean he wasn't stalking, harassing someone in the first place. There are different ways. That's kind of the whole point of this stream. Is there are multiple ways you can deal with the trolls. Ignoring them is fine, but
ignoring them is the easiest option and the quickest. There's not much to talk about there.
But it's also not the most effective and not the most fun at all. That's really like what it comes down to for people like me and you. That's a very common ground. And hopefully Anna will be able to rejoin us. I know I'm in contact with her in the back end, guys. She's having more technical issues. Just, her computer shit and stuff like that. She's having trouble getting, I think, the internet to work right now.
She needs to get Henry Cavill to come over to fix it.
Right, exactly.
We saw that video. We watched that video.
Exactly.
We watched that video.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get her back in. If not, we'll forge ahead without her. Fucking so that's the whole thing. This is fun. This is, like you said, mental exercises. It's a good time. It's also, and this was a thing because Anna, more than anyone else, agonized over whether or not to actually do this stream. You know, are we just giving him attention? Are we just clapping back and we should just ignore him and all this stuff? You know, all these things. And the tipping point for me was the tipping point for me of this was whatchamacallit. This person has been doing this for 5 years, at least minimum. We don't know what he's been doing before you, but we know here's a person who has taken himself around the internet, being an asshole, like that for forever, consistently. And now this is the beautiful thing, was like realizing this isn't like, oh, hey, this guy's been bothering you too. How about that? He just started bothering me. This has been like the guy who's been dogging your shadow for 5 fucking years has now decided to spread his filth into someone else's niche. Maybe he thinks he's a little more important now, so he can punch up to a YouTuber with 100,000 subs instead of one scraping the door of 1,000.
There's another question, follow up, it seems. Is there a reason you're not hiding them from the channel? Well, is there a reason to hide? Let's actually start the whole question from the positive before we go to negatives. The whole framing of the question from the negative is what bugs me about the science community. They say, well, is there a proof that this does not exist? Bitch, the burden of proof lies on a positive claim. For fuck's sake, why do I have to say this? It's like kindergarten stuff.
Oh, everyone's actually asking a really good question in the chat right here. I think, why would we hide his name? Why would we hide his name? Why would we hide his name?
Yeah, why would we hide? That's a different story. Now, why would we hide? Now, that's something, but why would we not? It's like, okay, but, you know, kind of try to form the questions a little bit as well, because, you know, the quality of your answer, I'm sorry, I'm being a bit of a ranty. I don't mean to actually be
I don't understand that question either.
I don't get that question because I think the best way to go about it is that next time when you ask a question, try to actually frame it in a way that think, okay, how do I get the most out of the answer? Then you have to think of the best way to ask the question. If the answer is going to be matching your question.
I get what they're saying. I get what they're trying to drive at.
Well, what is it?
This person, I think, feels a little bad for the person that we're not talking about and is wondering, oh, why are we going after this guy? Why are we just attacking him but not putting his name up here? You know, why are we putting it out there? That is a really valid question. It's a great question. And there's 2 parts to that answer.
No, okay, yeah.
And part 1 for me is that, you know, well, Jesse, you don't usually just go attack people. Let me give you a little more context for this guy, because I feel like maybe that will make things clear for people. This isn't some random Joe Schmo, you know, thousands of YouTuber, like all of the Grey Council and these shitheads who want to go running after and hating on, you know, fandom menacers. This is a guy who has every tool, like professionally, has it all. He went to a nice art school. He has very good quality of work. He does very top-notch work in his field, and has worked in Hollywood as a result of it. Has had jobs as a result of it, and for some reason, wants to run literally. So this is what. So for the greater context too. Again, Anna posts something that some artists decide they don't like. Specifically, this guy decides he doesn't like. So he goes on a 24-hour smear campaign, not just attacking Anna, but tagging other artists in his field and bringing them into her channel to show her and to show them her channel and with his narrative of, look how horrible she is, look how terrible she is, posting things about how she's a terrible person, how she's a terrible artist, how she's terrible on all these fronts and shit like that. And then this fucker wants to start DMing her on every available platform because she's not responding, trying to say, oh, maybe I was wrong in saying you're a terrible artist, but you are a terrible person, so let me help you be a less terrible person so I can help you be not. He's fucking negging her. He's doing all this grooming bullshit, literally trying to convince Anna somehow, partially by tagging as many artists in the community as possible that he knows, to try to convince her she has somehow fucked up royally and burned all the bridges with the art community that she's ever wanted, and he's the only one who can get her back in. And so he's now trying to picture this bullshit.
Let me guess. The only one to get in, the only one to get her in by some kind of a price, quote unquote, right? To pay for that, I presume.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's fucking creepy. So this is my thing. Like, I'm going to have a certain amount of sympathy. Even with this level of disgusting behavior, I will have a certain amount of sympathy coming from somebody who hasn't had a lot of opportunities, who isn't very successful, who's very miserable because of things outside of their control that have happened to them. This person is only miserable because they haven't actually done the work to figure out what makes them happy. So I have no sympathy for him. And the reason we're not saying his name is because he loves to engage. He loves to be part of it. He would like nothing better than for us to send him a link and bring him on the chat, right? The reason we're not saying his name is because the only way for you, the chat, to identify exactly who we're talking about, if he is actually in the chat or part of the conversation, is for him to dox himself. Is for him to show exactly who we say he is as this money-grabbing, attention whore fuck. And dox himself in the chat to let him know he's here and the one we're all talking about, right? So he can do that, or he can stay silent and sit there and shut up and have to swallow every retort that he wants to make. He's going to he has to swallow everything or dox himself and risk the entire chat taking our side against him. So
do you know what else is
talking about? Conquering the trolls, beating them, hearing them scream. That's the perfect question, guys, because that's exactly why we're doing this. That's exactly right. This entire setup is just one more way to demonstrate to you guys how to fucking end people, right? We're not going to take this time and put this effort into just any troll. But this guy is persistent, has demonstrated that he will not back down, and is taking it to places that are quite frankly creepy and making Anna feel very uncomfortable. And so we want to make sure everyone else is aware of this type of behavior and these type of people out there, so you know what to look for. If you guys are concerned about this person privately attacking you guys, if you're in the art community, reach out to me privately. I have no problem telling you who he is. But we have set up the blurring of his name and others in this live stream for that specific reason, because that's how you beat them. Because we are putting them in a rock and a hard place. You can debate me. You know it's about you. You wrote those posts. You know it's about you. Anyone else who's posting may share. You know it's about you. If you want to own that shit, if you want to own that shit that you said and come in the chat and let us know who the fuck you are and talk to us, fine. You can do that. But that's your choice that you get to make, because I am not going to give you the satisfaction of doing a whole stream where I talk about who you are. You want to make it about you, go for it. This ain't about you. This is about what you represent and what you've done to communities like ours.
It's about the actual arguments and points that they say. It's not actually about them at all whatsoever. It's just examples of behavior and how to deal with the behavior at the end of the day. And I mean, of course, why would we reward somebody who is an absolute obvious narcissist, that like the worst there is, with the exact thing they're craving for? You don't do that. You don't give them what they want, and to answer a few points there I've noticed in the chat. I was just waiting for Jess to kind of, unload a little bit, which was fun. But anyway, to address the whole why, the whole 5 years, why do you keep fighting? Here's the thing. I don't pick the fight the first. I just throw back exactly what's coming in. That's exactly how I do it. Live and let live. Don't bother me. I'm never gonna step on your toes ever. I said that in my videos, by the way, that I did when I did a few videos responding to him back in the days. I said, dude, just shut up, keep your mouth shut, listen to what the lawyers say, or when you get arrested by the police, shut the fuck up. You have the right to remain silent, basically. And use that, take advantage of it, and we're good. I ain't got no problem,
That's the whole point. Because this guy's not exactly club. That's the whole fun of it, too. Is like, that's why it's fun for us to keep going back. It's exactly like you said, it's not like we're seeking him out or, going back and finding an old thread and being like, let's reignite this fight. He keeps coming back to you. He keeps coming back. Every shit I posted about him, he is like, it's so funny. It's like, how quickly will he be here? My favorite one, I'll show this one a little later too, is something I replied to, and then he took down the immediate post because I called him out on it. So he's not smart enough to win, which is so funny because like even though he has a bigger following than most of these other trolls, he's stupider than they are, which is why it's so fucking funny to lead him into these.
It's so ironic as well.
Exactly, because it's the joy. It's like, oh, you want to come attack me? Great. I'm going to take 5 minutes out of my day, and I'm going to lead you in a circle to the point where you are, in 5 minutes, you're already destroying your own argument.
Mike is saying, we're never going to hear the end of this once he finds this video. Well, hey.
You know what? A+, because once again, he can go make it all about him if he wants to. He can go cry and freak out and all that. And you know what? He should be plenty aware of it. He's aware of my
Twitter. As far as I'm concerned, if he cries, he's going to water my mom's garden plants. I don't mind that.
Exactly. He can cry all he wants. Also, sup, Dr. Alex? What is up? Ooh, let me find something in here I want to share with you guys too.
Let's go some more screen shares. I mean, we haven't done those much.
Yeah. So here's the thing though. What was I saying? To the point about Karma said another point about, oh, well, if he enjoys debating with you guys as well, then it doesn't sound like you're beating him. Well, here's the easy answer to that. Maybe he does. Maybe he enjoys, I don't know, because I strongly suspect that he's the type of person, right, who has all this great art, who's done all these things and all this stuff and still isn't happy. We talked about this a little earlier. He still isn't happy for whatever reason. And so maybe he does enjoy these debates. Maybe he does, even though we're being shitty to him and proving how stupid he is, maybe he enjoys that little moment of feeling like, I don't know, anyone will pay attention to him because he's that much of a loser in his regular life that he doesn't have any real friends. I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. But I suspect it's something like that. So the reason why we always win is because, first of all, we're smarter than him because it's not that hard. A fucking baby is probably smarter than him. So we always win because any moron who doesn't have to have any involvement in the community can look in and go, oh, yeah, clearly these guys are right. Because when the conversation is done, AK probably goes back and works on his sculptures, does whatever he does in his life. I go love on my kitties and my guy. We're going to go fucking play Halo on Twitch later. We're going to have an amazing weekend. And that guy, when all is said and done and we're not paying attention to him anymore, sits and cries and stews and thinks about the next thing he's going to say to us when we actually have time to pay attention to him again.
That's what I can think about.
It's a Smith song. You go home and there's a line in a Smith song. It's just like you go home and you cry, and that's it. And you want to die. That's him. He's the fucking that bridge in that Smith song. Go home and you cry and you want to die. I go home. I am home. I turn this camera off. I go bang my boyfriend. I go drink more and play Halo. I go have a fantastic fucking night. He literally cries. Like, even think about that. Like, Wednesday. Why did you decide to? I don't know. Maybe you decided to watch Matriarch because everyone suddenly messaged you and said, "Holy shit, this person's over here." But like, if you're ever gonna go put on a live stream to watch, what would you click on a live stream? An entire title, maybe a user that you really like. Well, Karma, if you're interested in what they have to say, I'm sure they're around. If they want to dox themselves at any point and become part of the conversation, they are welcome to let them know what they have to say. But conveniently for me, this is my channel. I have already had plenty of opportunity to hear what they have to say. And back to that point too, right? 24 hours a pointed hate attack campaign against my best friend, and your ass thinks you're going to score points because now you're trying to make amends. So here it is. Is this nice? No, it fucking isn't. It is not nice. It is ad hominem as all get out. It is rude. I even say it.
He's not even apologetic about using personal attacks. He doesn't even he acknowledges it and he doesn't even care.
Exactly. I said, no, the logic is you're a terrible person, so I'm saying things I think will bother you because I don't like you. And once again, this is like your YouTube career not doing a very good job. That's my favorite thing is I didn't even remember it. Where I replied and said the first one, that was in his original post was something about how you had to work for years. I don't even remember. I can go find the screenshot.
What is it with him, lecturing people about their careers? It's like, right, are you trying to tell me that you know something about that?
Literally, you are wrong. I think he said something too about you had to work for over a year to get a few thousand subscribers. It's like, you don't even know me, bitch. I got my first 10,000 subscribers in 6 months. Dude, I worked for years before. I worked for years before that with nothing. And then I
haven't got my first 1,000 yet, and I'm still ripping your ass apart anyway.
Exactly. And I'm still smiling about it. I'm still thrilled. So But yeah, like I said, Karma, if he's around, he is welcome to unwillingly insert himself into the conversation like he does on everybody's channel forever. But my stance, this whole thing, like I was introduced to who you are, to who.
Yes, we got something interesting. Okay, there is something interesting going on here. What's Harmonious Discord? No, it's the other one. Hold on, Greg Kirby. Yeah, there we go. There you are. So I wonder if this is the guy who is mocking Mecha. Could it be that he already got his hands on Mecha?
Ooh, Greg Kirby, let me know a little more context.
That would be interesting if he already managed to piss Mecha off, because that's like, dude, for somebody who's preaching so hard, among this brigade, because he's one of those brigade, who's like, you're an Easternophobe, you're a sexist, you're a racist, and then it goes like, I respect women, blah, 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 blah. And then it's funny how you're attacking, as of late, the most people you see you attacking are like very prominent women in the community.
Exactly. By all
who
means.
have literally done nothing bad to you, by the way. And so exactly. I don't know, man. Exactly. It's like, it's one of those things. It's listening to him preach about anything. It's literally like, I just heard, it's the same thing. Imagine if you're on the street and you have a hooker who is literally lecturing you on chastity and tells you to fuck to virginity. That's how fucking hilarious it sounds to me.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, really? All right, Pot, my name's Kettle. Hi, it's nice to meet you. Hardty's History Corner, I think, goes right back into it as a perfect super chat from before, but it kind of goes right into exactly the topic, which is why I pulled it up. It says, you guys have pointed out my biggest pet peeve with people like that. They constantly speak for others, and I find that vaguely insulting. They can speak for themselves, you freaking jerks. Exactly.
Yeah, you take responsibility for yourself.
Traditional male feminist bullcrap. Let me help you, because I know what it's like to be an oppressed woman or oppressed.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You fucking don't. Don't.
Nope.
Science is based on falsification. Prove me wrong.
Prove the first part of the statement first, and then we'll prove you wrong, maybe.
Ha ha. I see what you did there, though. It's funny.
Yeah, it's funny, though. Yeah, I admit. I'm just kind of being my science joke sort of side, but it's funny.
I will say, a lot of the scientific mess, there's like, if you wanted to get dorky about it, you could look at the truth in that and be like, well, the scientific method for theories isn't necessarily about proving the theory, but about proving that the theory is most likely, that the theory is the most likely explanation by disproving all other theories.
Yes, it's about disproving the hypothesis and eliminating them, yeah.
So there is, and also good scientists, when they create a hypothesis, do their research trying to disprove the hypothesis, because that's how they know they've actually exhausted all of the methods, and they're not, and that's how they try to combat their own bias, basically.
And that's basically a bright mind of a paleontology community in a nutshell, which you just said. That's exactly how it should be.
Yay. That's always understand. My dad's a doctor and always been really a man of science, so I have a lot of, even though it hasn't been my primary focus in my lifetime, I've had picked up a lot from him. And there's a lot I love about communities that are really rooted in science and numerical things too, because there's a simplicity in it where, like, I feel like I'm sure you have just as much of a bitch at the time because the SJWs don't listen to logic no matter what, but there's a certain objectivity that's unshakable, that you can't, like, in movies, you can always make up a subjective counterpoint and stuff like that. But when you have so much science behind it, sure, there are always going to be certain theories based on the DNA we don't have, or the bone structures we don't have, the pieces of the animals that didn't last. But there are unshakable things like skeletons that, a skeleton isn't racist.
No.
There's no universe in which you could accuse a velociraptor skeleton of being racist.
Nope.
So
you can.
There's a huge, what? Did you say you can? Has that happened? Does shit like that happen to you guys?
Oh, yeah, not really. I mean, we have some other stupid stuff. We have things more like all of a sudden they just invent problems, They just come up with these ideas that for some reason somebody, for whatever immutable characteristics, gets singled out, which is completely bullshit, And you can have so many examples debunking all of these claims, and yet they still stick with them like it's a freaking, gospel. And I'm just sick of this nonsense. Like, I'm just saying, okay, so can you just stop moaning for a second? remember what your actual position is, because you're moaning about how there was this one chick I remember who was moaning about. I'm not going to again name her. I'm not going to call her names either, because I don't really have anything personal against her. It's just that I think she's wrong and she doesn't know how to go about it. Sorry, hang on a second.
Oh yeah, heard a little knocky there.
So give me a sec. I'll just turn the camera off for a moment, and
I'll read a couple super chats here in the meantime.
Okay, yeah, cool. Be right back.
Macy Van Dusen says, "Howdy, Jesse. Howdy, AK Rex. Howdy, Jeff. Howdy, Macy." For someone earlier saying, "Why is Jeff in the naughty corner?" We reconfigured our setup in here. So we have a new table / desk thing. So this is actually our Jeff's dedicated workspace now. / sometimes where we have date night dinners.
I'm showing off the High Council cover. I'm cheating.
They can't see it.
Part. I know, that's why I'm showing it. Sean Firefight saw.
Oh, you said it him?
Because I like him.
Nice.
Changing dinner plans, by the way.
Oh, I'm excited. Very, very excited. I also love AK's avatar. Who drew that for you, or did you do that yourself? Who did your avatar?
This avatar was done by Aram Rex, and I don't know if he's got the same avatar name here in the... Aram, can you make yourself known for a second, please? Because you're here, I believe.
I'll highlight
just
it.
So that so I can see what he goes as on YouTube. I keep forgetting all the time. I think it's probably... Oh, yeah, there we go. Artwork by Aaron Papazian. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, he was the one who did it. And he also did the cover art for my... Can I quickly screen share my Indiegogo page for Allosaurus?
Please.
So
where was
let's do that for a second.
So this guy did the avatar. Awesome.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, there we go. That's him. And so I go to Chrome tab and this one, share. And
wow.
There we go. That's the one. That's also the one that, as you can see, Aram did right here. And this is the exact same piece that I've got right here. Basically, it's 100%, accurate to the, my prototype that I've made.
Wow, that's so cool. So as a whole, so you can actually just get a kit now so that you could make the same thing that you made.
Yeah. You can already make them. See, if you go to, I'll scroll the campaign down and I'll show you. If you go down a little bit here,
yeah,
you got some of them already claimed here, but this one, you have 5 that are still unclaimed. So you can actually order a painted model for a discount. It's like 20% off right now until it comes off full retail. Then you got a kit as well, which you can do and also get a 10% VIP. So it means that every time you come back, you're going to be able to, get a 10% off every time from my services on anything.
Dude, that's super badass.
I got another, this is just a regular kit. You see there's 3 of them already, so there's 2 more to go.
Yeah.
And
go to the private chat right here and send me this link so I can post it for everyone in case anyone wants.
Yeah, cool. Just give me a second. I'll do that in a moment.
Take a look at your this way too. Even though this is a closed campaign, right? Or is it still an open?
No, it's in demand. It's still going.
Oh, open campaign. So, and then you'll also, if you guys are into this, work too, make sure you follow these guys. For those of you on the Mindless Mob side of things who love dinosaurs as well. We have a lot of JP fans. We have a lot of dinosaur fans in the community as well. And by the way, if you weren't here earlier to hear me tease it, we are going to bring AK Rex back on for a Jurassic Park dedicated stream that, if we can make the schedule work, will also feature Dion of World Class Bullshitters and possibly another one of
this right here is basically another piece unrelated completely. It's a Star Wars Legion droidica that I've made for my friend and painted for him as well. That's his model.
Hold it up. Keep holding it up for 1 second. I'll show it up. Whoa. That's really cool.
It's a bit dark, obviously. I cannot really make a nice lighting here, but because I was going a bit subtle with the colors. Yeah. Because I was trying to go for a bit more realism rather than overly bright. But it's like if you have like a set of miniatures that you want painted, basically, and be able to just, send them over. Let me know where you're based, of course, so I can, know what I obviously have to charge for shipping and everything, and we can agree on the price, and I'll get to work. That's how it is.
So you guys have model work you want done, especially dinosaur related. Actually, I may have some thoughts and ideas for you. How do you ever work in do you ever do humans or people or things like that too, or do you mostly just?
I was gonna get to that because there is a very important thing, and I've come up with this project that I want to start a new series on. By the way, hold on. Before we go to humans, Mike is asking to show his piece that I've showed you yesterday.
Oh yeah, please. I would love you to pull that up.
It's a model of a Canadian tyrannosaurid dinosaur called the Splitosaurus terrosus, and it's smaller than T-Rex, but this is what the piece looks like. I don't know if you can see it very well.
Yeah, pretty well actually. You can really see some of the detail on the paint.
I'm just gonna try to see if I can get some more better view on the detail on the actual texture, if there is any way. Yeah, there we go. You can see a little bit on the back of the neck there, because the camera reflects it a bit. Because I've done a bit of a satin varnish to protect the paint.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that looks phenomenal. It looks really, really phenomenal. Greg Kirby says his name is Spots.
So into the human part of it that you were just mentioning, I actually want to make a series of avatars. Like basically the concept of the project is that, imagine if you've ever seen the anime called Sword Art Online, and they have these like avatars in the game. Basically, it's as if it's a like VR RPG MMO. And you get to choose whatever race you want to be. You get to choose your character class. You get to choose your equipment, all of these things. And I'm trying to make a series of figures that actually represent real people, that are kind of slightly more realistic touch with anime. And I want them maybe to make, about like this tall, perhaps, so they're not too big, but very nice size to work with. And for example, I always like the idea of having a full plate Gothic arbor, German 15th century, So I did that, and I decided that my flag sigil is going to be Tyrannosaurus Rex, and I came up with like ideas. And then when I make this avatar, it's basically like very personal and relatable. And I have other people as well who have given me ideas of how they want their avatars to be. I have a guy who wants to be like a lizard man or someone like that, or somebody who's like, there's a guy who's, he wants to be like a dwarf, but he's black. So he says like, hey, I mean, maybe we can do this. We could give you braids, we can braid your beard. We can give you like an elephant looking, like mammoth looking helmet, and shit like that. So yeah, there's plans. That's all I can say. There's plans.
Oh, cool.
Now I just need enough hands to actually do them.
That is really cool. And yeah, right, hands. Just get 12 more, and then you can do it all at once. Here we go. Okay, here's the other thing I was trying to find too. I couldn't find another thing. That's one of the things I love about this community too, is like, what a cool time of year too to be finding out because we have all these creators who are making physical things. It's like you will never run out of gift ideas for your nerd friends, because it can be hard to shop for nerd friends sometimes, because you're like, well, they have everything. What do I get them? Well, get them something from an independent creator that you can't get anywhere else. So this incredible art, that you're making on commission and stuff like that. These amazing dinosaurs. We just had Ninja Lawyer Steve said I could babble about dinosaurs in Jurassic Park.
Well, there you go. You're my man then.
Tons of fans in our community too, on our side of things. Nerds are us, exactly.
Yep.
I got one for you Who fans out there. I saw Dr. Alex in the chat earlier.
It's really crazy, to actually look at how this changed. How when I used to grow up, being like a dino nerd was basically like, girls would never really care about you. They always wanted the popular dudes, and then the popular dudes never cared because they thought you're not cool enough to be around them. Even though the funny part is I always knew all the dirtiest and nastiest skeletons of the closet of these popular guys, so I could always press some buttons if I wanted to, but I was just not that much of a dick, at least not yet. So, but yeah, I mean, they always, used to single you out, and now it's kind of become a cool thing, to be a bit more nerdy, to be a bit more, have this bit of a geeky side, creative side. It's become really nice that it's finally come around in that way. I like that this is where it's at, because I always wanted it to be like that. I always thought, why can't people, understand what this is? Why are people being so narrow-minded? They care every time, they always look at things like, okay, I'm gonna like get my friends to get me this nice job in this place, and then I'm gonna make this amount of money, and then I'm gonna drive Mercedes, I'm gonna get this girl, that girl, and etc. I don't know what I'm gonna be planning to do with it next, of course, in 5 years' time, but it doesn't matter because I'm gonna look cool doing it. That's all it is. Yeah, sure. And I'm gonna spend all my dad's money doing it as well, of course. It's a typical fucking like old school Russian mentality. Typical.
Yeah, I fucking love it. I love, actually, one of the things I love is like the Russian family in John Wick, and like the relationship between the dad and the kid.
The amount of like frown that he got from his dad for fucking up that time, that was like insane. I loved it so much. It's like this guy. It's like, who's gonna get him first, John Wick or who's gonna get him first? Yeah,
it was so great because the fencing community is packed full of. We have a lot of Russians, a lot of Armenians, a lot of Ukrainians, and stuff like that. Yeah. So that like Slavic culture has always been very close to me in my life. Like I've experienced a lot of it, and it's so fun because it's like being Jewish growing up. There are certain things where you're like, you know where all the stereotypes come from because you lived them. And so being around a lot of these different Russian coaches and stuff, and Ukrainian coaches with different accents and varying degrees of English, you pick up a lot because that's one of the things that's so much fun about language is like language is so tied to culture that when you hear somebody from who speaks a different language, then you speak your language. The way they speak your language tells you so much about them. Because of the way that their language works. And Russian's very much one of those too, where like,
if you want a language that has the most amount of insults and derivative insults from the main insults, you learn Russian.
Russian is one too, where it's like, when you hear someone speaking Russian, you don't have to know what they're saying, but you always know how they feel. Doesn't matter how you don't have to understand a word of it. If you hear someone speaking Russian, you know, are they happy, mad, sad, excited, whatever.
If they're happy, they'll just show you that they're happy. If they don't like you, they'll just tell you to get the fuck out, and that's it. That's the end of story.
And it's like, even the language supports it. Like, please forgive my accent. Just the words good and bad, like the how to show and ploha are like.
No, that's very good, actually. That was very good. Yeah.
Where like, even just the construct of the words, like how to show, it sounds like this, like, yeah, good, all right. You know,
I'll teach you some of the bad stuff later if you're interested. Please. It's a bit harder to do, but we'll get you there.
By comparison, you know, how to show has a lot more like harder consonant sounds. It's like an easier word. It's an easier word to say.
It is, yeah.
It's like a lot of sound, and it's like this exhalation of like it sounds disappointing as a word. So it makes so much sense that it's the word for bad. Because if something's bad, you know, ploha, like whatever. I don't obviously I don't know how to use in the context of it, but like just the sounds of the words, or like, you know, davai, 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 davai. We hear that in fencing all the fucking time.
Oh my God, Aram just said something hilarious. Aram is basically also a French speaker, right? Because he lived and studied in France, and he said that, you know, but when French cuss, it's like they are saying some sort of compliment.
Right, like you're the perfumed manicured back end of a baboon. You're like, that sounds insulting, but
you know what else is interesting? You can say "I love you" in Japanese and make it sound like as if you're just literally about to obliterate someone's end someone's life, but you're actually translating "I love you."
That's true.
I actually want to learn Japanese. I really want to learn this language.
I studied 3 semesters of Chinese in college, and it's hard, but I like Chinese better. Like, Japanese is cool, but I love the tones in Chinese. I love tonal languages as well. But we are like full into geek territory, which is exactly what I expected, and it's kind of perfect. Unfortunately, we were hoping to have a little more fire and brimstone because we were hoping to have a little more Anna involved.
Yeah, I was going to say that a lot of the stuff that we were hoping to bring up is actually tied to Anna, and I really wanted her to be here so that we don't just talk about her stuff without her being here.
So unfortunately, we can't, you know, unforeseen technical difficulties. So we'll touch base with Anna and see if we can all get back together and really tear apart some of these screenshots. Because I feel
maybe do like an extra 15 minutes if she manages to get back on any moment now, so we can get her stuff, you know, just to kind of do a nice, you know, full circle thing, you know, see if she was able to do that.
I was hoping for that. That's why I was just, if you saw me looking down a few minutes ago, I was just trying to reach out because I was saying, hey, we're around that 2 hours.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to make it back in today. It's just, she's not getting anything to work. So it seems like it's going to be a more like, all right, shut down, figure out the problem and shit before she has to figure out the problem before fixing it. I was really hoping, Chero. That said, though, we already have a, you know, fluid date coming up for Jurassic Park. I'll touch base with you and Dion and whoever else you want to bring in. We'll figure out a time. So everyone stay tuned for that, please. Leviathan, no, it was not you at all. It was technical difficulties. It's nothing personal or anything like that. She's just...
Again, as I like to say, nothing personal. It's strictly business. Strictly business.
So don't worry, chat. Anna didn't like run away or anything like that. Prehistoric dolphins! Yay. But AK, was so much fun having you on the channel. One in the chat, everyone, for AK, this phenomenal new YouTube friend that I've had the privilege of getting to know over the past couple days now. One in the chat if you want to see him back again. I'm looking for a tank tread because I want to see him back. I know all his buddies want to see him back, and I know the mindless mob tends to swing the way I do on a lot of things. Not everything, but you know, most things. So Jeff the Window Watcher.
Jeff the Window Watcher is a meme.
So if you haven't pressed the like button, do it. If you haven't subbed to AK Rex, definitely do it now. I'm seeing a ton of ones already rolling in. So thank you guys. I'm glad you guys liked him as much as I enjoyed having him on here. That link to his channel is already in the description for the video. It was posted up in the chat earlier, but if you didn't get it then, Greg Kirby has now has an addendum. He says the porn watcher.
I'll just say one more thing as well, that just because we didn't manage to obviously get Anna back yet, and unless she replies miraculously now and just says, okay, I'm coming back on, then yeah, we're good. But if not, and if we have to go without her, that just leaves us another excuse to come back again with the trio and just continue, because troll slaying never ends. It's like it's an exercise. As I said, it's almost like working out in the gym. It's just a thing that we just do.
It's the funny thing, because they're the ones who are always
part of the grind, by the way.
Oh yeah, they're the ones who are like, social justice never sleeps. I'm a keyboard warrior all the time. Well, yep, that's why we're always in the gym, because it's like fucking stormtroopers or battle droids. Any of the shitty, like the fantasy movies where the shitty foot soldier that you can just cut down. That's what they are. They're expendable. They're a dime a dozen. We're the Jedi and the warriors and the heroes with our big fucking guns and swords and battle axes and maces. Cleaving your asses down left and right, and morning stars, etc.
Speaking of, by the way, I think I've come up with a design for my humanoid figure for your avatar. Ooh. So let me know what you think about that. So how about we make you a demi-cat? So it means you're going to be basically a lady Puss in the Boots, and we're going to give you like a saber maybe, or something like that. We give you like a parent dagger in another hand, so it's like almost like a dual wielding thing.
Say if you want it, I don't know. You always go just saber-toothed tiger, because the saber's already in the name.
Fair enough, yeah. And we'll give you like a nice hat, like this musketeer or Landsknecht hat, like those ones with like lots of plumes and stuff like that.
That sounds perfect.
We'll give you like a couple nice boots and stuff like that, something like a jerkin or like a padded jack of some sort, and I think you're good.
I think that's brilliant. That sounds very me. That sounds perfectly me.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna make like a resin cat version Jesse, basically, because you're gonna literally be a cat walking on two hands with weapons, with a cat face as well. You're gonna be a proper demi-cat. If you play Skyrim, have you ever played Skyrim? The Kaijit thing.
I've seen some of the stills from it.
Except that I'm gonna make it a little bit more humanized than the Kaijit, because Kaijit is a literally two-legged cat, literally. But
So like if when they tried to make cats, if they had done it correctly.
Yeah, I think like what I'm trying to obviously achieve here is, because I'm trying to kind of combine the idea of some characters to look both cute but at the same time imposing, look like they still mean business. Because there are some really cool anime characters out there, and there, of course, everybody who likes anime knows that there's always like all guys have the waifu list, We all have the lists, so I got my list too. So we'll definitely get to that later on, not today, another time. But I wanted to say that I actually really like that the audience was very receptive. Oh, yeah. I was not feeling nervous or anything, even though I had a drink anyway. But still, it was part of the process.
Good.
I felt it was very organic. It was very sort of, just it went where it went. We just took it. We didn't kind of try too hard to think about where we're gonna go. We were just going with it. And
this is how my streams always end up going. Yeah. Pretty much, no matter how much we try to prepare or not. It's like you can come in with no topic or every topic, and it's going to be the same, because it's going to just follow the natural progression. And I only bring people on my stream that I have good chemistry with, that I like talking to, that I know that I can have an enjoyable time with, because then it's not stressful. It's not work. It's fun. We have a good time. And the better time we have, the better time the audience has. I'm pretty sure the Mindless Mob will agree with that.
Mecha should get like what was it? Where is it? Mecha should get like a hardcore kaiju avatar. For Mecha, I think the avatar should be like, I don't know, full plate armor, basically, because that's very, very like full plate harness, very hybrid style, maybe of some sort, maybe 16th century, something like that. Oh, maybe give her like a helmet, one of the later ones which has like a smiley face on it as well. They exist. So that would be very Mecha, by the way, and do like a mimic sort of hair thing, because helmets, they mimic fashion and stuff like that. So I think.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. This is so cool.
Mike, thanks very much. Thanks for coming, and have a good one.
I'm so stoked for all the additional things we're gonna do. I'm so stoked for everyone who joined us to the Mindless Mob. I'm stoked for my weekend. I'm having a great day already. I had a wonderful stream. Thanks everyone for being here. I will remind you that practice makes wrong, but before the God Empress bounces for the day, I'm going to go with my new phrase, which is love, bitches, love.